Let's take a trip around the Metropolitan Division and get you caught up on all the news from the week. Yo-ho everybody, and welcome to another edition of Yinzer on Hockey. Before we begin, make sure you go down below, hit that like button, click the subscribe button, and make sure you click that little bell so you stay up to date on all the off-season happenings. So today we're going to take a little trip around the Metropolitan Division and just go over some news and notes and my thoughts on some of the big topics around the Metropolitan Division. So we'll start in Carolina. Rod Brindamore, the new head coach for the Carolina Hurricanes, recently did an interview with NHL.com. And he said that he fully expects Andrei Svechnikov and Martin Nikas to be integral part of the Carolina Hurricanes this year, which is part of the reason that they're still entertaining offers for Jeff Skinner, is because it's pretty highly anticipated, at least within the Carolina system, that Svechnikov is going to replace Jeff Skinner on that top line wing, and they expect him to be very productive this year, which is why he could be probably one of the favorites going into the season as a Calder Trophy candidate. On to New Jersey. Not much happening in New Jersey this week. They did sign depth forward Eric Tangradi to a 2-year or a 1-year 2-way contract at league minimum, with a minimum of $300,000 guaranteed because it's a 2-way contract, $650,000 at the NHL level, $250,000 at the AHL, with at least $300,000 guaranteed. Doesn't do much for New Jersey. He could be an injury call-up, a guy that plays bottom six if they need him. For us Penguins fans, he did spend a few years with us, bouncing back and forth between Wilkes-Barre and the big club, so we're quite familiar with him. He's got some talent, very good on the penalty kill, great two-way player, so, well, maybe not a great two-way player, but very good for the role that they're going to ask him to play in New Jersey. In New York with the Rangers, they signed, today was announced they signed restricted free agent defenseman Brady Skjei, I'm not sure how you pronounce that. But last year for the Rangers, he had 4 goals, 21 assists for 25 points, 39 penalty minutes. So he's a top 4 defenseman for them, and probably a big key part of their rebuilding process going forward. They signed him to, I think it was a 6-year contract in the $5 million range on average annual value. So they fully anticipate him to be a big part of their rebuild. In Pittsburgh, the only real news of note from this week is the Penguins signing Tristan Jarry to a 2-year contract worth $675,000 at the NHL level. Again, I did a video on this. I will link that in the cards above, as to what I think his role will be with the Penguins this year. And we'll see how it all plays out after training camp is complete. Not much news out of Columbus this week. I think everybody's still kind of waiting to hear more on the contract discussions between the organization and Artemi Panarin. So I don't think we'll get any breaking news out of Columbus until that situation is resolved or he is traded from Columbus. News for the Islanders this week. Earlier this week, they did sign Brock Wilson, who had 35 points last year, to a 1-year contract. 26 years old, 19 goals, 16 assists. So he could be a guy that you could hear a lot of talk about around trade deadline time. If the Islanders don't exceed expectations. I think a lot of expectations are for the Islanders that they're probably still going to be in a bit of a rebuilding, retooling mode after the loss of Tavares, but if they don't exceed expectations, then Brock Ellison could be a highly sought-after trade chip at the deadline. Not much news out of Philadelphia either this week. They did have their official press conference reintroducing James Van Riemsdyk. The only thing of note is he has decided to keep the number 25 that he wore while he was with the Toronto Maple Leafs instead of going back to the 21. So more merchandise sales for the Flyers, I guess. Isn't really been fully defined as to what his role with the team is going to be. It's highly anticipated that he's probably going to play second-line wing with Nolan Patrick as his center. And that could be a very potent second line. That's one of the better second-line units in the NHL, I think, if they meet the expectations. So, biggest news out of the Metropolitan this week is coming out of Washington, D.C. Yesterday, the Washington Capitals re-signed Tom Wilson to a 6-year contract with an average annual value of $5.17 million. This one's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. There's going to be a lot of questions around this contract. His career high for points is only 35 points, and that happened this past season. His contract is comparable to guys like Zach Hyman in Toronto. He'll be making more money than Nikita Kucherov, and we all know what his statistics look like, although his extension doesn't kick in until next year. This year he'll be making a shade over $4 million in Tampa. Ryan Callahan, was it Ryan Callahan? Yes, Ryan Callahan will be making a little bit more money than Ryan Callahan this year. Personal take, this is quite an overpayment for Tom Wilson. I don't know what their expectations are for him going forward, but it's hard to justify paying a guy $5.2 million for 35 points a year. I get it, he's a top-line guy. He plays right wing with Ovechkin and Kuznetsov. And you would think with that type of quality ice time that he should be netting probably in the 50 to 60 range at a minimum if you're playing on a line that talented. So it just raises more questions about the value that the Washington management puts on individuals. I'm not sure. It's not one for one, but seeing them put a $5.2 million price tag on a guy like Tom Wilson, who obviously gets scrutinized heavily for his antics on the ice, for the hits, the suspensions, all of that, but to not be willing to put a $4 million price tag on the head coach that just won you a Stanley Cup. Again, I'm not sure how they put values on individuals at Washington. This is a contract that I disagree with heavily. I will continue to disagree with probably for the entire 6 years if it plays out that long. He doesn't have a modified no-trade clause until the third year, so this could be a guy that Washington looks to move very quickly if they don't see the immediate return on the contract. So I would keep an eye on that over the course of this year or next offseason. They may try to move him if the contract doesn't, or if his play doesn't match the value of the contract. So that's news and notes from around the Metropolitan Division for this week. Let me know in the comments below what you think of these highlights. We can have a great discussion down there. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Until I see you next time, have a nice day.